Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world. Hi,
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
how are you?
Very good. How are you guys?
It's nice to
Very
see
good.
your face.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, lovely to see you guys again. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
for inviting me again.
Of
This time
course.
I'm better equipped. You see, I have a proper microphone. It's right here. I hope it stays
Ooh.
there.
That's awesome. That's
It's good,
awesome.
man. It works. It sounds good.
You're
all
all
good.
prepped up. It's awesome.
You're ready to
Well,
roll.
last time I felt bad that you had all the proper equipment and everything, and I only.
That's okay. He's guilted me into buying this stuff too, so don't worry about it. I know how it feels.
Yeah, so I'll progress over time. So this is the first step, and I'm using this every day now. So that actually worked out really well. You
that's
really
awesome.
pushed me into the right direction.
If
You
you're going to do
sound-
video calls, it does
Yeah.
make a huge difference.
Yeah, you sound great too.
It does.
Like it is. Yeah, the vocals are really good. So yeah, it's
You know what,
awesome.
Jay?
We're only doing the sound this time again, right? It's not the
Correct.
video.
Correct.
Yeah, there's no video. Just,
Yeah, no.
Just
Okay.
I don't need
Because
to
the
start
lighting
recording.
and stuff, it's not the ideal right now.
No, you look
And look at
infinitely
these
better
two
than
mugs.
Kenny and I.
Okay,
So
and look at these two mugs. If you think these two mugs are going on video, you've got a serious problem. Not a hope in hell. You might sell a few podcasts. These two will not sell podcasts.
We'll scare more people away than anything.
Yeah.
It's not
Oh,
gonna
you
work.
guys.
So we have Yulia Vasilyeva back on, and we asked her to come back on. She is the founder of Intelocate, and we're excited to have her back because you've got some new news. You've got an announcement. You're flush with cash now. And, she's like rolling in cash right now. I'm just joking. But you did get an infusion of
You
cash,
got
right?
money.
It's a good chunk of change, right? So we figured we'd just bring you back on, maybe have you share your news, and then we can
Let
kinda
people
go-
know who you are again, because I'm
Yeah.
sure there's for
Yeah.
any new listeners.
Yeah,
Others
go
Sure.
for
are
it.
Well,
like,
Yeah.
Thank you for having me over, guys, again. And actually, I feel like it's a great timely follow-up conversation to the one that we've had a few months ago, because with the new investment, it's true. Yeah, we just closed a new round of financing. It was $1 million from a VC based private equity fund that invests solely in technology companies that are at the scaling stage, which is where we're at. And I think it could be an interesting conversation, because last time when when we talked, we were talking purely about the retail and the execution, and really how discombobulated things really are between the head office locations, the regional teams, the vendors, and how difficult it is generally to keep a handle on everything. But at the time when we were talking about this, it was more of what we've known on our life before, versus now we're really at the end of the second lockdown, and the world has changed dramatically, and it's not the effect it had on the business world is not going to go back to normal. It's just going to be a very dramatic shift. And I feel like we got really lucky with this investment, but we also really appreciate that the opportunity that lays in front of us right now has been recognized. And as last time we've spoken, what we really specialize on is really bringing everything together and bringing the head office together, locations, regional teams, and vendors into one communication path, into one workflow. And in the light of current events, all this has a completely brand new meaning, because if in the past it was something that organizations needed on an operational level, in terms of optimization, how do we optimize our store operations, how do we optimize our head office operations, versus now this is becoming more of a necessity rather than a nice to have, simply because still a lot of people are working from home. It's not as simple anymore to just look around the office, walk over to the neighboring cubicle and talk to someone. Let's say I'm from marketing and I go to talk to someone at loss prevention because the store just reached out to me and they have an issue which appears to be looking like a loss prevention issue, but for some reason they've reached out to marketing. So I'm just going to walk over to them and talk to them.
Yeah.
But in our reality today, this is not really happening. So technologies like what Intelocate does is really bringing everyone together in one digital space is not a nice to have, it's a mandatory thing in order to really operate effectively. And from conversations with clients, with potential clients, we really don't see this changing anytime soon. So a lot of organizations will probably default on a more of a flexible work from home, work in the office type of schedule as we're emerging out of those lockdowns. So the opportunity for technologies that bring everything together and enable for a more centralized approach for running an operation in a way when you can be basically located anywhere, but you can still have a full visibility into what's happening on the floor, on the ground at locations. It just has a brand new meaning right now.
Maybe Yulia, why don't you just get people just a high level idea of exactly what you do? What is it that you're offering, the solution you're offering to businesses, and how to make life a little easier in this very interesting time now and going forward? Just high level, just in case nobody listened to the first episode.
Sure, yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking to clarify. So Intelocate is a cloud-based software. It's designed to manage issues, tasks, and projects and communications in multi-location environments. So mostly we work with primarily retail, property, real estate management, and vendors who are servicing those multi-location businesses, such as security companies, vendors who are building fixtures, providing different facilities types of services. So as long as you have a central head office, you have multiple spread out physical locations, and on daily basis, you have issues popping up at different places. You have activities that needs to be performed with the world that we're living in today. COVID compliance assessments, audits are very, very important, top of mind for everyone. Intelocate makes it very easy to conduct those types of audits and checklists and really keep an eye on which locations are compliant, which are not. And another side, which is really important, is Intelocate provides a voice to a location to report back to the head office any type of problem that they might have. So it could be anything related to facilities and real estate management, so broken light bulbs, plumbing issues, those types of things. But it could be something more serious, such as health and safety related issues. And today, this is top of mind for everybody. This is everyone's safety, clients and employees. And Intelocate provides a way for the store or any other type of location to very quickly report back to the head office at any type of problem they have. And Intelocate then routes that into an appropriate department at the head office or an external vendor or a contractor. And then from there, it starts tracking all communications back and forth up until the point of the resolution. So let's say a vendor received a request, they have a follow-up question to the store or to the regional manager, they need someone from the head office to get involved. All of that happens within Intelocate and tracks the entire life cycle of that particular issue up to the resolution, which provides to the head office a very unique insight into what's really happening across locations. So you can start seeing right away the trends. So for example, you can see that in one particular region, you have an issue with deliveries. In another region across your locations, you have an issue with COVID compliance and health and safety implementation. And Intelocate brings that to light pretty much in the real time. From the moment you launch the solution across locations and the head office, within the first week, you can start seeing where things are really falling through the cracks. And in the environment like today, this is, again, it's not a nice to have anymore. It's more of an absolute necessity because you can't really allow health and safety related problems to fall through the cracks, but you also need to really optimize the workforce because things just have to be addressed really quickly. Stores, locations, they need to have the trust that they're being heard and their issues are being addressed, and the head office is on top of everything. And because everything is so chaotic right now, just the sense of the fact that you're being heard and attended to is already a huge win for any organization.
Yeah, I gotta imagine, I mean, you just think about like how quickly things are shifting around. Like I think, so Yulia and I are both in the Toronto area, and you think of, like a month ago, 28 days ago, right? We had the government kind of go, okay, we're going right back into lockdown again. We're going to do modified lockdown. the rules all change for everybody overnight. I just can't imagine, like that's got to be something. Is that something that you've seen? Like the retail outlets that you're helping out, I gotta imagine that's critical in this conversation. Is like, here are the rules, here's what's happening, here are the packages that are coming back out to you with signage or with instructions, and then stores going, wait, I didn't get anything, or I still don't understand what's happening. Am I open? Am I closed? Like there's probably a million things going back and forth here that you're seeing.
That for sure, and also the customer support, because one thing, while the stores are shutting down, the online is trying to supplement the lost revenue from the physical stores, mm-hmm. and the issues, they don't really stop. And so that's where this is what we're seeing with some of our customers, especially those who went through this before. And for them, I actually had a conversation with one of our clients earlier today, mm-hmm. and even though they've closed the stores, all the procedures, just like you described, they have to very quickly on the fly, they had to create closing procedures, and they had to create opening procedures. Then they have to create very simplified checklists to see how it's being performed and implement how stores are opening up. But the problem now, the stores are coming back, they start reporting issues, but the supply chains are completely broken. And they start ordering and asking for things, but there's a ton of orders for a particular item that they don't no longer have in the store, and they cannot really order that from the supplier. And the stores and the online are both reporting that same type of issue. How do you really separate this? Which ones do you address first? Just having that type of knowledge in your fingertips is crucial, because you can start prioritizing how you're actually going to service your customers and how you're going to address their requests, because some of them would be disappointed because they're not going to receive things on time, and it's really nobody else's fault. But at least if you have a technology or a way or a process internally to at least aggregate and see those requests coming in and very quickly spot this is the emerging one, this is the trending one, you can then at least start addressing this in the order of priority, versus just being completely reactive, because we're all very reactive right now. None of us really knows what's going to be happening, how things are going to evolve. There very much could be potentially another lockdown after the holidays. We'll talk about that. I've spoken to some of the retailers. They're already thinking and talking about this. There's a lot of fear that after the holidays and everybody's cheering with each other and going to all kinds of places and visiting family and friends. So those things are all top of mind. So this is how things really come to light. And if the physical stores are closed, it doesn't mean that the retailer is not operating at all. There's a lot of operation. There's a huge volume on the warehouse and how they're going to ship those orders. And a lot of organizations, they're not actually set up for this. It takes time to get accustomed to do very effective e-commerce sales and to set up your warehouse and your shipments. But if it wasn't set up for that, there would be all kinds of problems that are popping up, and you need to have a handle on it. So physical stores closed doesn't mean that the retailer is not open. It's actually even more work for them now.
Well, Kenny and I have talked about that a lot, right? I mean, curbside pickup, how difficult it's been. Retailers aren't set up for that either. It's funny because my son works part-time for Michael's, the craft store, and listening to him talk about how difficult it is to, like he was working in the store the day that they made the announcement. They basically, as soon as they closed that night, they sent them home and said, just wait for us. We don't know what's happening. Just stay home till we call you. And then he said the first time they went in, it was kind of everything was upside down. They didn't know what they were doing. There's all these levels. There's the procedures they got to follow. It's how do you get people in and out? It's consumers who don't know any better. So the first day that they were closed, they had a lineup around the block because people were waiting to get in the store, but nobody outside knew, right? Because they didn't understand all the rules, right? So how do you deal with customers now? And now they're trying to figure out how to transfer product from store to store, right? Because you've got stores where, maybe they've got pickup orders, because they're in hotter areas and they can take more stock. So they're trying to figure out how to balance back stock and update websites, and it's craziness. Like the whole thing's upside down. I think what you're doing is critical. Like I feel like more companies need to know about this to figure out what.
I think that's the beauty of what you've got. It's sort of just how it just aggregates it all into nice little tighter buckets, as opposed to you sitting in the store and I don't know who you're phoning, 911 at that point. So you don't know who the hell you're just desperate to get any help from anyone. Like, where do you go?
The thing that so the hardest, the part, and I actually feel like I'm lucky because I was with Target Canada. I got a chance to open stores. So I felt the chaos on the other side, right? Which is I was central head office and I was pushing orders out to basically empty greenfield locations and then getting them to do things, right? But I actually can't process how you bring back all that feedback, right? Because when they're a greenfield, you don't get a ton of feedback, right? Because the stores are like, whatever, I've got to set up. If I'm missing things, I'll call in and I'll get them. And then sometimes you go in and they've got 3 sets of the orders because they just didn't know what to do with them all, but it's fine, right? But now it is equally, if not more important, to get the feedback the other way and then track, where, your resource constrained. So if you sent too many things to a store in regular operation times, it would just even itself out after a while, right? Like you just figure it out. Now you don't have that luxury. Like everybody's short on everything, right? So if it went to the wrong place, how will you ever find it again? I don't know. Like it's kind of crazy.
And stock inquiries are probably one of the most top trending issues across the majority probably of organizations that we worked with, and that's understandable. One of the issues that I've actually learned just about yesterday is it's not only just the stock, which is the issue. Now, with the Amazons of the world, actually, it was an example that was given to me was with Amazon. The company got the stock of the product shipments, but they couldn't get the cupboards, boxes to actually package and ship the product. And when they've contacted multiple suppliers that they worked with over the years, and the response was like, Amazon came in and they basically took everything we had.
Wiped everything.
And so now, even if you have the stock, good for you. What are you going to do with this? How are you going to ship that?
You got to gift wrap them.
In what? There's no newspapers anymore even. What are you going to do with this stuff?
You're going to have to go to Home Depot and buy bubble wrap,
But you know what? You do. You end up going to Home Depot or Staples or something like that. But now you're paying a cost. And that's the challenge with a lot of this stuff. That's what I was going to ask you, Yulia. Like, especially in the last time you've been on, what have been some of the consistent sore points that you guys have noticed, 1 and 2 maybe have helped to alleviate, so that listeners who are sitting in these and thinking, I think we used last time, I have a central head office and I've got 12 liquor stores.
We talked to you in July. Yeah.
Right. How do you manage this? Like, what do I do? I mean, I've got them in 6 cities across the province or wherever they are. But like, what are you finding? What are sort of the sore points? Stock, I could imagine has got to be insane. Stock
is huge one. So stock related issue reporting is huge one. Customer support related issues are also huge, and people are reporting all kinds of and sorts of things, which is quite interesting to observe. It kind of all shifted towards this, but another side of this, it's more centralized communication to the store. So exactly what we're talking about right now is nobody knows what needs to happen. Just having that one place where stores can receive a task or a communication and everybody can be on the same page because everyone has the same access to the same information, even if maybe the final information is somewhat ambiguous simply because the government guidelines are ambiguous. At least the same communication went to everyone and you know exactly who's seen it, who didn't, who responded to this. People can ask questions, follow up on this, but then they can also start reporting issues. So it's not just you sent a communication to stores, they can report back to you. So you can very quickly get a picture of, okay, across 50 or 100 stores that I have, these are the issues related to, let's say, us reopening. So some of them, they do have stock inquiries, and that's the issue. Some of them have a lot of customer related issues. Some of them have staffing issues because not everybody is comfortable going back to work. Some are really struggling because a lot of stores are operating with a reduced headcount at the store, and just managing the traffic that comes into the store, and how do they keep the same level of customer engagement versus how do they still keep their store managers safe. So all of those things, it's again, the more communication paths the organization has during the time like this, the more complex it becomes to keep everybody on the same page. And that's really what we do. This is what we specialize on, is just really bringing everybody together so everyone has the same level of visibility to the latest communication that happened and any types of questions that happened in relation to this. Because let's say there was a problem and someone reported it back to the head office. Traditionally, you would just know that the issue has happened and then it's in progress and then it's been resolved. We're going much deeper with this because we're tracking all the communications, including via email, in relation to a particular issue. We can actually trace the full trail of communication in relation to this particular issue. So for example, there was a stock inquiry. You can see, okay, we can see that there's a 70% increase in the stock inquiries on this particular product. Then you go into the messages that people are exchanging between each other, which is normally the information that's not available to anyone to see. That's something that would be in personal WhatsApp, text message, personal email, or phone call. All of a sudden, you can actually see all that within Intelocate, and you can see the full trail of this human interaction that happened. And you can actually start seeing maybe some underlying issues, why those problems are happening. Or maybe you can spot that actually there is some available stock somewhere else, so you can move it around. Or if it's a customer-related issues, maybe you can very quickly see that some locations had that very similar issues to this around the same time. This is how they've resolved this, and that was very effective for them. You can very quickly transfer that knowledge to the other groups of locations and stores, where they can use this as a best practice to very quickly respond to those requests. But again, if you have issue resolution management in one place and you segregate it to, let's say, IT, facilities, and other, then you have the task and communication management in another place. It's physically impossible for you to react to this in a real time. But if everything is in one place, you can see the issues are trending, you very quickly understand what they are, and immediately you create a communication or feedback task back to fix that. And that's where bringing everything together right now is just getting this brand new connotation, I'd say. It was obviously very important before. It's not something that all of a sudden became important, but just the importance of this became so much greater.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just a different time, right? Before, we weren't going into 1 or 2 month lockdowns. Before, we weren't having lineups, how many people in the store. Before, we weren't having employees not coming in because they're scared, or management closing stores because they were scared. Online, as we all know, has gotten massively big. So
that's funny, right?
It's a completely different time.
We talked to you in July, and it feels
like
I haven't gone back and listened to it, but I feel like it's like a totally different time.
Well, in July, I think we were still thinking there might be light at the end of the tunnel by the end of the year. Now we're getting toward the end of the year, and we're thinking, okay, we might not have vaccines until the middle of next year for the majority of us, let's say.
The mainstream.
Mainstream, might not be till Q3. To be frank with you.
If you're not frontline and you're not high risk, you're not getting it till Q3.
You're not going to get it, right? But there's just not supply. So we're not out of this for quite a while.
If you're are you have the what's that guy's name? The general. I don't mean to be flippant or disrespectful. I can't remember his name, but the guy who's handling the COVID deliveries, he's got multi-locations and he's got lots of supply chain.
They've got challenges.
He should be listening to this episode because Intelocate could help you with that. What's that guy's name? I'll look him up now. We'll have
it's a fantastic idea.
I'm busking for business for you.
Well, again,
come work with us, Phil.
Think about something like that, though, right? Think of the logistics you have to go through, and you really have to have everybody knowing what's going on. in real time at the same time, and in a method that is not, you're not going to Slack this. You need a whole different
No.
world.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, that may be where, from, I guess, again, for more listeners to understand is, because I can tell you right now, I know people listen and say, well, yeah, we do that. Like we got Slack and we're all on it. And, we have little groups and we send notes out and we all read our notes. So why do we, what do we need this for? And why would anybody put, $1 million into this when, I got Slack? I mean, isn't that what Slack does?
And I think Slack is actually a great example, and there is a number of other communication tools that are being used in the industry. A lot of, actually, in the retail particular, WhatsApp is actually used quite a bit.
WhatsApp and Slack are probably the two biggest ones.
Yeah, they're probably
that's
one
the go-tos.
And Microsoft Teams also.
And Teams, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But the big difference, these are fantastic communication tools. We all use them, but they're just built for a completely different purpose. They're built to create chat groups between different groups of people. And that's really what they're fantastic at. I think they solve a lot of unnecessary emails and such. But what we're talking about here is a centralized communication and a two-way communication between the head office and the multiple locations. And it's a completely different beast in terms of the complexity of the operation. So it's not just a group of people talking with each other. It's each location has a cost of its operation. Each location has people working at it. And from the head office perspective, we really want to see at each location what's happening there. You want to see the historical data of what's happening at across those locations. You need those insights and intelligence and historical reports to understand, okay, these are the types of issues that were trending in those locations for that period of time. This is what's happening across locations right now. These are all the regional managers that maybe have been slacking last month, but not slacking this month. There's absolutely no potential to see that type of visibility in a communication technology like Slack and such, simply because they were built for a completely different purpose. Right. So in order for you to be able to run that type of reporting to see what's really happening and where, you need to have a system that has an architecture behind it, which is centralized around locations, where you can see the full database of all of your locations. You can go into any location and see, okay, at this location, these are all the things that has been happening. These are all the forms that they have submitted. These are all the checklist audit forms. Here are all the pictures that were uploaded as part of different audit or tasks. These are all the people who were involved in the resolution of different tasks or projects. So it's just a different way to look at, and it's basically looking at how the ecosystem of an organization works, and the multi-location environment is just much more complicated than just a bunch of groups. For example, if we need to build a website, yeah, we can have a design team, we will have a development team, they can all be distributed in different locations, which sounds like, yeah, it's different locations, but it's just different groups working on one project. Operating a multi-location business that has a physical location that operates on a daily basis is a completely different situation. Each location is it's a property, it's a real estate asset. It has a cost of operating it. It has fixed costs associated with it. It has a lot of moving bits and pieces around it. So it's an asset that's being maintained by the organization, and you really need to see what's happening there. So it's not just a group of people talking. There is a group of people at this location, but there's also the physical location that has a lot of moving bits and pieces. And in order to bring this all together, you really need a purpose-built solution that can bring that visibility to you in the real time. Otherwise, you'll have to piece this information from different places. You'll need to go to SAP to grab your location list. You'll have to go into Slack or Microsoft Teams to download all the history of the communications. Then you'll have to figure out a way, how do you merge all this together? Then let's say if you have an IT support system, you'll have to extrapolate information from there. If you have facilities management system, you'll have to extrapolate information from there. Then you'll have to figure out how to piece this all together to just understand, do we really have a trend on delivery or stock issues in a particular region? It's going to take weeks sometimes to get this. Yeah. And in an environment like this, when things are changing on a daily basis, we just don't really have the luxury to do this. Even if you have the workforce and the head count to produce that type of report, the timing is just not there. And that's what Intelocate specializes on, is really providing that type of visibility in the real time within a couple of clicks. And the only way you can achieve this is if you have a system that's built for that particular purpose.
So the two military people, I think for Ontario, it's General Rick Hillier. And then the guy for Canada is Major General Danny Fortin. So
that's right.
We'll figure out how to ping these guys. I get really like, I've never done anything like the most complex two things I've probably done. One is, it sounds weird, but like shipping yogurt to a store is really similar actually, right? Because you can't just ship, it's refrigerated. So the truck needs to be, certain temperatures. It needs to be kept at a certain temperature. You can't put yogurt with other, you can't put it with meat. You can't put it with everything needs to be separated. And then you need to know that when it gets there, the people receiving it know that it's yogurt. And then you need a confirmation that it actually got dropped into a bunker that's cold enough, like within a certain time frame, which sounds simple, but is ridiculously complex. And then the other one is like working with pharmacies, which is closer to the vaccine stuff, as you've got all sorts of things that, again, need to be refrigerated or need to be signed off on, right? That you can't deliver to, Joe Schmo in receiving. It needs to be signed off by the pharmacist. Otherwise, you can't deliver it, right? So McKesson would, like all of those things are super complicated that you'd never be able to do through Slack. Did you get it? I got it.
Well, which group are you talking to?
Who are you? No,
Sales
I
team
received
chatter?
it. Oh my God! Who got the narcotics? I don't know, Joe Schmo, and he quit, by the way. Oh my God! So I just real appreciation for kind of the, taking.
Well, and as funny as it is, but realistically, what we're talking about here, it's actually a liability. It's a potential legal or insurance liability for a business, because if that's not delivered or completed correctly, it can have potentially very serious consequences. Yeah. So accountability and compliance really plays into this importantly, and chat feed's amazing. We're all in them, but you didn't check it for a couple of days. The feed is 200,000 messages. You've already missed everything. There's never you're not going to go over all of them to read them.
I missed it. The notification bell didn't go off. What do I do now?
But the thing is, and what do you do? What do you do? You search a Slack feed that's got 50 participants, and everybody's chimed in 30 times. You got 1,500 messages. So where are you going to go?
And that's actually also a very important point. So when we are talking in chat groups, even though it doesn't matter what the chat group is named at, you'll end up having all kinds of topics within it. And some of the really important issues can actually be discussed within that type of group, and they're being completely missed because there's absolutely no way to go back and trace it back. And what we've learned is just the idea of categorizing things that you might need or want to track across what can potentially be happening across your location. So, for example, loss prevention, health and safety, COVID compliance, marketing, merchandising, operations, facilities, print, and so on. That's essentially classifies how the organization works. And then it automatically puts things into the proper topics. So it forces you to avoid one giant chat group where you talk about absolutely everything and where stores can dump all kinds of questions. It forces the stores to be very organized and disciplined in terms of how they report things to you. And from the head office perspective, you get all the information you need in a very organized fashion. So there's very little opportunity to miss anything, and a very transparent view to everybody where things are at. So it reduces 20 to 200 messages to a particular topic and can reduce it to 2 or 3 because everything is organized and classified, and all you need to do maybe ask 1 or 2 follow-up questions. You're done. You can move on. And that's where the beauty and the importance of something like this lays in today.
Is there anybody, Yulia, in the health sciences or health areas that are using this? And why I'm asking is this: in the old days when I was at London, a lot of the pharmacy, the human resources of pharmacy would typically go through the office, which sounds kind of bizarre, but because they were trying to manage pharmacists and pharmacy techs, in essence, if you needed a person this afternoon, you'd email or phone in your head office and go through a process where this person at head office knew who the part-time pharmacist they had available, part-time pharmacy techs they had available, and then they would juggle and move bodies around. But as you can appreciate, that's great, but that's one person only seeing the email, the information going to that one person. If that person's sick that day, next person comes in, like nobody knows what's going on. Are you finding that, is there anybody using it even for human resource issues? So that we've got 6 hospitals within a group of hospitals, and this is happening right now. Nurses are just wiped out. Like they are working obscene hours. They can't leave the hospital until the shift has come in. And a lot of times the shifts aren't coming in. I mean, could it be used for that sort of flow even? Because I can just see that at least it's pooled in one spot and other people can see in and say, shit, okay, there is a crisis today, whatever that means.
We're dragging Yulia's business all over the place.
Well, you know what, Phil, because this was a big issue at London in the days when you couldn't get pharmacists, right? Do you remember that? Because you might have been in Target. And
we
it was
had the same problem, yeah.
It's huge. And now within health, I mean, I know a few nurses and they are struggling big time. Some of these nurses are doing literally almost 2 full shifts and staying at the hospital because they can't leave because
nobody came in to relieve.
Yulia didn't come in to take her shift. That means Ken can't go home. So
no, it's true. Actually, a friend of mine is a PSW, and we've been actually talking about this, that the madness that's happening in some of the healthcare organizations simply because of disorganization or not, it's just very limited amount of people who can have access to very particular information. And that's exactly, I think, that's basically the premise of our entire conversation today is the environment we're in right now is really forcing us to open up and make things more transparent. So we can't really live in the world anymore where just one person owns the information and access to certain status of certain things. It has to be much more open and much more transparent because of the environment that we're in right now. So to answer your question, whether we work with any particular hospitals today, not exactly, but we do have one starting sometime next year. I can go too much into details on this, but yes, we have something in the works there. And again, even though we are predominantly used by retail, we have use cases in property, real estate management, including as well as security management and vendors. So the use cases for Intelocate are quite diverse, and retail is not our primarily focus. It's just an industry that we've known really well walking into this because of my personal experience from before. Our VP of sales team, he also has spent over 25 years in telco. So it's just the industry we know. That's actually how I met Phil at his previous engagements. And Phil and I were kind of started talking really on the retail side of things. But the bigger, longer-term vision for Intelocate, we really are ultimately a solution for managing a business that has to operate multiple physical locations on a daily basis and really needs to know what's happening at the location level, who is working on what types of issues are happening, how quickly those issues are being resolved, if the cost is associated with this, how much it's actually costing us, where can we save on this, and who is working, how we can improve. That's where Intelocate is really powerful. That's exactly what we do, and that's why we have those different use cases. And the new investment that we've spoken about earlier today is really kind of recognizing that opportunity for us, and will be fueling further growth in that direction.
It makes sense to me. I mean, just the management of human resources. Forget like stores where you're worried about product to customers. The product to customers now is a nurse, a nurse practitioner, a pharmacist, somebody that, you know, your dog food doesn't come in. The dog can eat steak. I mean, you can find a substitute. The nurse doesn't come in. An operation goes sideways. Someone doesn't get proper health care. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's what COVID has done. It's even thrown human resources into a gong show, because the old way we used to do it, which was probably emails, everybody would check into a board or an email. And you know what I mean? Like it's too fluid now. Like things change so bloody fast that I think the timing for you guys is phenomenal.
Well, I think with the healthcare sector, the good thing, at least, I think they're under so much pressure to really innovate quickly, and I think they are implementing a number of amazing technologies. I think what you're talking about in terms of shift management, I think some of them are implementing shift management solutions.
I think they're
I've heard
trying.
about some. Yeah, I've heard about some that have implemented applications that are quite powerful and enable especially part-time hourly shift workers who can come and fill out for some of the jobs. They seem to be quite powerful solutions. Then they're working. It's just a matter of, I feel like that becoming more and more popularized across larger healthcare spectrum and the industry itself.
I guess with Yulia, and I think where the opportunity sometimes lies, that's great if you're Providence or Fraser Health. Like, I'm just talking in our part of the world.
Yeah.
If you guys are not, let's say the Greater Toronto
Yeah.
Hospital
No,
Association, that's great.
yeah.
You got billions to spend. I mean, that's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
But you're talking, let's say, you own 6 pharmacies out in Barrie, or you've got, I don't know, whatever it is,
Or like even the so
regional hospitals
a lot
that have
of
to talk to each
even
other.
Retirement homes, that sort of thing.
Homes.
Where you don't have the same resources, right? But I want to pivot a little because I'm really curious. I want to ask you, because we do have a lot of small business folks who listen to us, right? You're not small business, but you did just land.
How'd you do it?
Investment, right, to help you kind of move forward. What does landing investment feel like? Because I don't think anyone, like, you see it on TV, right? Like when you see tech startups land, money on TV, they get drunk, they fall in a ditch and go celebrate for like a week or go binge, but what does all of this mean to you? Like, so one, how did it feel? Two, the time it took you to pitch this current firm, like how, you don't need to disclose trade secrets or anything, but just curious as to the environment of investment right now and how people are feeling about investing in businesses. And then what, right? Like, is this like the exam's finished and you feel like, whew, you know what I mean? Like, I'm curious, right? Because I think
I'll leave one more even farther back than Phil, just one step back. What did you do? Did you just pick up a phone? You're sitting at home like a small business. Like, they're thinking, ooh, who do I call? Ghostbusters? Like, what do I do? 1-800 give me money?
Get a loan.
1-800 help me please? So start from maybe that first. Like, how do you great that you're excited you got it. How did you get it?
No, it's so
now when I think about call Ghostbusters sounds like
right?
a process.
Well, what else do you do?
Well, I think, to be fair, it's not something that really happened to us just one day. I mean, this is not our first investment round, so this is actually our third investment round that we have closed, and we started raising capital actually much earlier than that, and we've gotten into the investment journey quite a bit, but then the pandemic happened and it actually slowed down everything for us and put things in a slightly different angle. So raising capital right now, I think for some companies it's very, very easy because they are in a sector that's completely booming and there's money available and they can be raised. It might not be as easy for businesses that were affected and not affected as much by that level of growth. We were lucky because first of all, there was already a big network of people around us, through our current investors, through the people that I personally know. So as they say, there's never a big success without a 10-year story before it. So there's never any investment. I think practically no investment that just happened overnight.
Okay.
So it was there was a lot of preparation going into this. It took us quite a few months to get to this point, but our metrics were speaking for themselves. Our usage is growing, especially for the pandemic, and we could see the spike in usage, especially after the first lockdown has finished and locations started to reopen. So our usage was speaking for itself, and it made definitely conversations easier, much easier for us, simply because the growth is there, and we're at the point as a business that we are ready to scale and grow. The product is on the market. It's full. It's scalable. It's there. We can handle much larger volume of usage and users and issues and communications and such. So for us, this growth capital made a lot of sense. The investor that invested in us invests in only growth stage organizations, and there was a lot of cultural synergy as well. So it was just a lot of things came in together, and pandemic for us really played, because of the industry that we're in and because of what we do, it helped our business really accelerate the importance and the value of what we're delivering to the market. And this capital really is the foundation for us to go to that next stage. In terms of how it felt, well, it's not a multi-million-dollar type of investment round where perhaps we should fly to the moon and celebrate there. I'm being very cautious with this capital. I think we're still living in a very uncertain world, so I don't think it's the time.
You barely even smiled. Oh my God!
I'm smiling right now.
I'm just busting your chops, right? Like nobody can see you, but Kenny and I can see you. So the listeners, Yulia is so serious. Like, you.
It's nice to see, though. You know what? It's someone who got a gift in a sense. You know, someone's willing to pitch, and she's sitting there thinking, okay, I'm not going to. This is great, but this isn't like, hey, champagne and wine. Here we go.
She's super serious about the fund. She didn't even crack a smile. She was like, "We'll get right to work."
Exactly. We're going to be very cautious because we don't know what's going to go on. So we're not going to spend it all tomorrow morning.
Well, we are taking a very rational approach to what we're going to do with this capital, and we have a very clear roadmap of what our plans are, because we have multiple industries that we're present in. So there are multiple directions that we're working in, and I think it's important, especially with so much going on in the world right now. I think it's fantastic that we were able to raise the capital, but there are also a lot of businesses that are not in that same position. So I think we need to, first of all, really embrace that we are in the position that we're in. But I also think we need to be very mindful in terms of how we allocate this capital, looking simply just understanding that the world is very uncertain right now. So I think maximizing the runway is very important, and investing in activities, sales, and marketing in the way that it's most beneficial, but also making sure that we can deliver additional functionalities that our customers were looking for, provide the support to our current clients in the best way we can. And I'm talking to a lot of other CEOs, and I don't think, regardless of how much money anyone has spent, I think everyone has a very similar outlook right now. It's great. It's really great to be funded at this point, but I think it's really time to really focus on how to deploy this capital in the most pragmatic, rational, and weighted way possible, because I don't think it's the time for just the crazy champagne party, even though I think it has to be celebrated, and we did. But it also needs it's a different time, and I think
it's important to get this done, right? It's a time where we're, to your point, organizations need this and they can use it, and to be flippant about it and just we got money, yay team, as opposed to saying, listen, let's get this up and going, let's get this really working.
A yay team,
good for you.
Yay team is appropriate, but then
I think so too. But
then now we've got a window of opportunity, right? Like so. Right. We knew, right? You knew you had a good idea. You proved it out. So this is your third round of funding, but this is a nice window to be able to go, okay, how do I make it big enough, right? Like, I think is what you're after, which is really cool.
Well, our goal as a business in general, we're building a long-term, sustainable, profitable business. That's our number one goal. We're not chasing any crazy matrix. We really want to build an organization that's going to last for a lifetime, and the types of customers we have, everything is moving in that direction, and our growth capital is what we're going to use to fuel to fuel our expansion, open up some of the new markets. We have some ideas in terms of some of the markets that we're going to go after, and all of that will be announced, I think, over the next 2 to 3 months or so, which we're really excited to. I just don't want to run ahead of myself before we do so, but we have
you can just come back. Just come back on the show and tell us.
It's just so pragmatic. You're so pragmatic. That's so good. Because I can see it, honestly. A lot of people would just get carried away, and you do. You hit the champagne, and you're excited, and that's awesome. But you want to make this. It's a good cause. It's a good product. It's a good idea. It's a good time. Like you don't want to blow it.
Yeah,
right?
It's awesome. It's really.
She is very serious.
We don't.
She's so serious.
She's very serious.
Excited, but she's like, no.
It's cute though. It's kind of cool though. She's very serious.
Oh, for everyone who is listening, I'm actually not that boring.
No, it is say boring. It's serious. Phil and I have friends who it would have been a shit show. It would have been a gong show. And you're just so I would give you money just because I'd be thinking, okay, this girl's not going to piss a dime away.
She's not giving any of it away.
This is the way to go.
I love it.
I think it's awesome.
These are not simple times, and I think
they're not.
Funded in a time like this is great, and I'm very proud of our team. I think our team did a fantastic job in terms of us really coming together, because people react to situations in different ways, but our core team all got together and we're like, okay, guys, you know what, we have to do what we have to do. Let's figure out a way how we can best support our customers. One of the top of mind things for us was I think when the pandemic just happened, the first initial reaction, we really wanted to be able to support and help our clients as much as we can, but as they're closing down, it wasn't as much as we could do. We almost were ready, okay, can we jump in and help with operations or do the things like this, but you really can't. And for us as a team, just really kind of focusing on how do we strategically support and keep growing things, because nothing stopped, nothing slowed down, everything carried on, because we've signed 4 new accounts in that period of time, and we were going through onboarding at the same time, but the onboarding also had a completely different way of the way it looks now, because in the past it was much easier. People were in the same office. It was much easier to do a training, for example, for new technology. But now everyone is in the different places, so the training takes different place. Now people are learning things completely differently. So we had to adopt and learn ourselves how do we now onboard customers in a new way? How do we now adapt and make it easier for everybody? So these are the things that we've been really focusing on. So we're really in this work hard type of state of mind. But I think most of the organizations are in right now, and everybody is really figuring out what that's going to look like. But I mean, there's so much amazing innovation that's happening, and I think there's so many cool projects that have came up or emerged or changed, and most of the people that I know in the tech sector, they've innovated one way or another, and it's really incredible to see.
Congratulations.
Good job. Seriously.
It's really exciting.
Thank you.
Good for you.
Thank you, guys.
Good for you.
Yeah. We're very excited to
You're
see
not boring either. Like, although it's not
No,
boring.
you're not.
You're
not.
serious is good. Being pragmatic
We're being serious now.
Wonderful.
Yulia's not boring at all. She's actually smiling. So
well, those guys might invite me again next time, and next time I promise I'll prepare some jokes on a piece of paper. Come on, listen, guys, come on. I'm Russian. Like, we don't smile, we don't make jokes. Like, everybody knows it. Just
remember, I'm half Russian too, right? So I got the Russian side, which is a little bit that, and then I got the Italian side, which is completely the opposite.
Oh my God.
Well, how do you deal with that?
You know what? This is what you get. Like, I don't. It's not for me to deal with. It's the people around me that have to deal with this shit, not me. I just do whatever I do. I feel bad for the people around me.
I sometimes feel bad for people around me too. Like, for example, you see me as serious, and I felt like, oh my God, like I'm so uplifted right now. I'm on such a high.
That's definitely the Russian in you.
Yulia, you're hilarious to be around.
Oh,
What are
you're
you
a
talking
sweetheart. I think
about?
it's,
You
I
guys.
think you should be super proud of yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
congratulations. I mean, I, I don't, yes, you're in a good industry, and yes, the growth is there. To get money out of people at any time is to me fascinating and impressive. And congrats, because it's not everybody can do it, and you've done a neat job, and you got a cool product, and you're helping people. And I think that where this product can go, like we talked tonight,
Sky's
like
the
I mean,
limit.
all the things we're just talking about,
Sky's the
and you
limit.
can go anywhere you
Yeah.
want. But
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fact is that
Yeah.
no matter what we all think, and even bigger organizations, as you're finding out with the health, that's great that they can talk to multinationals that are spending billions of dollars in huge software, but small companies don't have access to that, and communication is a struggle on a good day.
Oh, yeah. On a good day.
On a good day, it's a
Yeah.
struggle.
Yeah.
Right? In a chaos like we're having now, whether you're open tomorrow, not open tomorrow, Phil coming to work,
Oh, my
not coming to
goodness.
work, is the product coming, not
Yeah.
coming? That's a lot of shit going on in a
Yeah.
real tight
Yeah.
period of time. So any communication tools that people can use is critical right now.
When you're ready to tell us the next big plans, will you let us know, and you can come back on? Literally, you just tell us, and then you'll come back on.
I would love to come back. I mean, guys, I love talking to you, and I'll try to be a little bit less serious, so maybe practice.
You just be yourself. Don't listen to him. Just do you.
Yeah.
Just do you.
This is how you know you're a friend of the show, because we are busting your chops, right?
Exactly.
Like I think like 15 minutes in, we're trying to crack you to get you to laugh already. So
it's all good, right? And you should. I mean, you know what? You should be happy. I mean, it's a good
Yeah.
time. But the fact you're serious is good too. If I was the person who lent you the money and I'm on the other side of the phone, I'd be thinking,
yeah,
that
if
was-
you're
that was a-
listening to her right now, if you
that was a
lend
good
her
investment.
money, she's super serious. She still
Absolutely, man.
look after your money, so it's all good.
I'd love to have you back like in 6 months, Yulia, when we get maybe more into vaccine, and potentially we get into I don't know how we can say normal, because I don't even know what normal is anymore.
No, I want you back before then, because I think
Sure.
the other part that's really interesting. So you think of these small businesses, and they get infusions of cash, and a lot of times what we're joking about, but what is really serious is sometimes it really is like you're studying for an exam, and then you pass the exam, and then you think like, fuck, now what?
Now what?
Right? Like, now what do I do? Right? Like, I got the money, I got to go. And I think this is where you hear some of those, I mean, those are old days and few and far between, but the tech startups that kind of lose their minds and kind of chuck money at things. And I think what would be really interesting is to hear your methodology, so when you come back in a couple of months and you go, here's where we're going. I think just the process of going through, what is it that we're going to, is this a shotgun thing? We're going to go and hit every industry where there's, lots of locations and lots of use cases? Or do we look at, our top 3 or 4 and figure out where the real synergies are? Or do we map that against the software that we've already decided we want to build? And then where to, there's
I would love to hear the approach
too. There's a whole
too,
bunch
Phil,
of
just for
patterns
those
there,
reasons.
right? So
what's the approach?
Yeah.
Because you are very, all kidding aside, because you are very pragmatic and you are a thinker, is that most entrepreneurs and most small business it's literally, most things are shotgun, Phil, really.
Yeah.
And I think
no. Yeah,
Yulia
I got
seems to
cash. Let's go. What's the
probably
volume?
a little bit more of a rifle,
right?
And I'd love to hear that. I think it's important that people, especially entrepreneurs, understand that the shotgun approach is fine in circumstances, but there needs to be a rifle approach too. Like, you got to know what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear your process. I would too. I'd love to hear what you're thinking.
Not to put pressure on you, because you do.
Well, you got 3 months to do homework. I mean, seriously, how much pressure is that?
In a couple of months.
Just start taking notes. Come on.
Yulia's like, oh my God, these guys are crazy. I got to get off this.
Well, actually, I mean, from the very beginning, we were extremely capital conscious in terms of how we spend our capital. So I think there upside to this, and there's a downside to this, and I definitely would be happy to share some of my learnings on this and what we've learned from that as a company. But there are different ways how to go about this. There's also different cost of growth, and I think it all plays into the longer term strategy, what type of business it's going to be. Again, for us, building long-term, sustainable, profitable organization is our number one goal, and that's what our investors are supporting. And I think that has a very big effect on how we spend and deploy our capital, what we do with this. So definitely, again, don't want to run ahead of myself. There are definitely a few activities that are happening right now, so absolutely happy to come to maybe.
I'd love to have you back. Love to hear
4 months from now to share.
Yeah, love to.
Unless I spend all the money, which is not going to happen, but
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I can see this guy getting some money back.
You just reassured our investors. I'll send it to them tomorrow or whenever the episode comes out. When is it coming out, on Tuesday?
Next Tuesday. Next Tuesday. Yeah.
Good for you, Yulia. Good for you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. I will put for listeners, I will put all of Yulia's details in the show notes as always. And thank you for joining us again.
Thank you for inviting me again, guys. It's a pleasure. I have a pleasure to seeing you as well. Unfortunately, our listeners can't, but and I look forward to coming back again.
Yeah, awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Have a good night, guys.
Thanks,
Okay,
you too.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Phil, stay on.
Yeah, you got it. She's cool. I like
She's got
her.
a cool thing going, Phil. Like, you know, it is too. I just, and I know we tease her a little bit, but the fact is that she is, she's very conscientious. Like, she's very, she's just good that way, right? I mean, I know she called it boring. It's not boring. It's really, it's what you want out of people. Right. That to me anyway, that's how I see it. So
me too. Me too.
I think she's.
I'm all there. I think she's
done pretty cool.
But I also think it's really cool because I do think, not everyone has, you know, how many chances do you get to ask, you know, a startup person, what are you going to do with money? Right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, everyone assumes, oh, you got the cash, you can cash out now, but she's just getting started. Right. So it's almost like, you know, someone
drops like talking to her.
Lap. What do you do? Right?
That's why I kind of like talking to her, is because she's not sitting there and throwing the party.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's excited. She's just, you know.
Yeah, clearly she's excited.
But she's already 4 miles ahead of the conversation. Like she knows where she wants to go and where she wants to be. So I mean, God bless her, man. She's done. I think she's done a pretty fucking cool job.
Yeah. So we talked to Yulia, and then we talked to OpenPhone, and Yulia and Intelocate landed investment, and then OpenPhone landed like $14 million as well. So I actually reached back out to Darinya to see if she wants to come back on and talk to us as well. She's a little more famous, so it might take some time for her to come back on.
Lost her.
Yeah. We might
they forget about us when they get big. It's all good, Phil.
Yeah.
Well, it's all good.
It's cool.
Okay, you know, you got to check out too if you want to have fun. You don't have to. It's go check out Instagram and check out Pasta e Sugo. So pasta.e.sugo, SUGO.
Pasta.
Coming to the hood soon, buddy boy. Coming to the hood soon. Fresh made, baby.
Ooh, this looks good, man.
Yeah.
Wait, we have a pasta isugo. Do we have a pasta isugo?
You got something similar. I think you have a pasta isugo.
We have a pasta and sugo.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So
but it's the same thing, though, no?
Well, pasta isugo is just in Italian, right?
I see. Pasta isugo. Oof. Damn.
So I got a plug in, right? What the hell?
No, I love it. I really love it. I really love it. Yeah, it's great. Man. What else is going on? What's going on with you?
Same thing that's going on with you. Just keeping busy, right? I mean, you know, honestly, Phil, I've got much better balance than I've ever had. Like, I'm dead serious. It's amazing. I mean, I'm still working a lot, but I'm okay. Because I'm spreading it out though.
Yeah.
Like, it's all over the day. Like, I mean, there's times in the afternoon where I won't do anything, and I do it at night. Why? Because
I'm spreading out. I'm going wall to wall right now. But it's just a temporary period. It's just, you know, It's retail.
Some of your stuff is
you know.
retail and seasonal, and this is it, man. If they don't do it now, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm
All
assuming
their bread
by
and
the
butter.
time the new year comes around, hopefully it'll calm down for you.
Yeah.
But I sent you a link the other day on my buddy Peter, who's the card grader at KSA. I sent you a link on
Really?
a radio broadcaster doing. The cards have gone mental. The card collecting has gone stupid. COVID, I think it's gone. It's honestly gone mental.
Wow.
I mean, there's the first $1 million hockey card is probably going to be this week.
Oh, I saw that.
Right.
I did see that. Yeah,
so
yeah,
Peter went on to the local sports show and was talking about that and card grading in general. But I think he'd be cool on that too, because again, you know how we talk about there's so many people that are going to be in and out of work. And you and I've talked about this even at our earliest podcasts.
Yeah.
I think people need to understand that there are other ways to make money, live without having to, you know, you got laid off because the restaurant closed.
Yeah.
You can buy and sell stuff.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't sound necessarily sexy until you start doing it, but it could be a lot of fun, one. And two, there's an industry out there. That's why I thought, you know, if you take a listen to, I think Peter might be interested because again, it's just understanding there's a whole different, there's a whole world out there.
Let's do it, man.
That's not just offices. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm trying to get the Endless Pet Tales lady. She said she would come on, so I'm hoping she comes on next week. One, because we can talk about it. We've you know, we're in our closure now, and it looks like they're going to extend us into January now.
Yeah.
So as
we're to the 8th, I think we're not allowed to do anything.
Yeah. So as a pet retailer in the middle of Christmas season,
what do you do?
You know, yeah. So she's so I asked her if she'd come on. So I'm just waiting for her to confirm. And then we've got your other buddy who's looking for a time slot for us as well.
Yeah.
So
and we do have a retailer that's looking for time slot.
Yeah. So Peter would be a great one to bring on as well, right? So
I think Mark wants to come on as a filler if we ever need him. I told myself we'll think about it. I don't know if I want to accommodate.
Sorry, Mark who?
Times. Well,
Mark who?
The guy who pisses him off staying up late.
Mark Sterling guy.
Like I don't know, something like that. Anyway, something, you know, whatever.
Oh man,
it's all good.
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't mind having the boss back on pretty soon too. You know why? Because I'd love to know what her industry has done in the last little while.
Yeah,
right?
the boss. It'd be boss. Whenever you decide we're worthy, would you please come on, ma'am?
Yeah,
please?
It's another one. You know why? Again, Phil, it's one of those ones that with the online world, and again, if you're one of those who's been maybe had struggles with, I hate calling it stable employment because it's such an old thing, or you know, that world is again, there's a lot of shit you can do out there of your own stuff, right? I'd be curious to see what Linda has noticed in terms of what's gone on in the industry. Have there been more entries, more exits, or whichever, or both? Or
I think I also think that at some point, the next one that it's just the two of us, we should talk about that too, because I think between us, we're fairly creative about the way we've strung together. You know, like now, I think things are steadier, but even me, I've got some really like interesting ways that I've kind of filled in income, and then like that I really love, right? Like, and you know, so I think those are things, because I just finished doing this with someone that I know, who, you know, spent a long time with one company, and then I was kind of like, here's what I do, and I've got these things, and they're like, oh my God, how do you do all these things? And I'm like, actually, I really love it like this, right? Like, because I'm not doing one thing, right? Like, and it never feels like I'm, you know, doing just one thing all the time, right? So
it's hard for people to understand that when I didn't understand it either, Phil.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I did many different things, but it was still under one roof.
Yeah.
When I was with London, and it's different. Like when you're bouncing literally from completely different businesses and completely different personalities, day to day. And I think it's again, I've got a buddy who's might be going through the same sort of thing down the road, and you know, could be a big lifer changer. But I even think he goes, well, you're kind of not inspirational because that's a shitty word, but I look at sort of at the way you did it, and you can do it. And I said, exactly. That's what I tell people. If I can do it, you can do it. I mean,
I don't know if I agree with that. I
know you never do though, so whatever.
I think you're selling yourself short a little there, and then I do think though that you have to have the one thing that you can't do what we do without is that comfortability in chaos, right? Because the truth is we do what we do and we love it, right? And we are not normal consultants in any manner because we don't. I don't know. I mean, I think like you and I share a client, but then we have our own clients as well. And I think all of our clients would say, these guys kind of speak their mind. They don't really.
Oh, totally.
Well,
that's what consultants are supposed to do, aren't they?
Yeah, okay. I haven't met that many that do that. There's like, or they sort of speak their mind and they sort of don't. But I think you and I are quite crass with it, to be honest, right? We just kind of put it out there. But there's not necessarily regard to. Look, I spent a whole week fighting with my other client last week, like a whole week, and it was unpleasant the whole time. But I kept saying like, this is what you pay me for. If you don't want this from me, it's
you
cool.
can be a yes person, but then why hire you?
No. I said I'm not saying yes. So if you want that, then you just need to tell me to go away, and then we won't fight anymore. But because I actually genuinely like them, right? But But
isn't that the purpose of what we're supposed to be doing?
It is, but but not everybody does that, right? And I think, but if you add that in there are a lot of people that would feel pressure to go, I've got to make nice because I need the income stream to keep coming. So in that sense, I do think that that's a unique characteristic that we have where you kind of go, fuck it. Like I'm out here because I'm trying to be authentic and I'm trying to do the right thing. If you don't want me, I'll go find other business. Do I have other business? No, but I'll figure it out. It's fine. Right. And that part I think is something you have to have somewhere. Right, is you have to have that. I'll figure it out. It's fine. If you don't have that, you probably shouldn't do what we do. Yeah,
maybe you're right. I always feel better after I talk to you. I feel like I'm more important than I actually am.
No, you're pretty important.
That's good. I'll take it. I'm happy. Okay, I gotta go. I got a computer guy coming to the house trying to fix something.
Yeah, you got it. Did you get mesh?
I got mesh. You know what I've got now? I've got a Lenovo that doesn't like being on the internet for long periods of time. It just pops off.
Power settings on your internet, on your Wi-Fi
adapter. It could be that, and he also says because this is a pretty skookum laptop. He goes, they're typically institutional. You have to upgrade all the time, like in terms of like your updates. Like you have to update all the time.
What, the Lenovo? Really?
Yeah. Okay. That's what he was telling me. So he goes, he's coming down. He's a techie at one of the big companies in town.
Yeah.
So I said, just fucking fix it. I don't want to talk about it.
It's your Wi-Fi adapter. That's my bet. It's either the power, like it's set to power conserve, so it turns.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
I'm telling you, man, that's what it is. But
listen,
anyway,
the mesh thing. I don't want to.
The mesh thing, baby. You got mesh.
We're meshing.
Do you feel better? Do you feel better or what?
Yeah, I can use it in different places of the house. Except I outside of the fact I can't get on with the Lenovo, which is pissing me off.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, all good in the hood.
Excellent.
Chat later.
Take care, buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
See you soon.
Have a nice evening.
You too.
Or go to sleep.
Yeah, I will. Okay, ciao.
All right, that's the end of this Commerce Life. We'll be back soon with the next episode. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed it. Give us feedback. Tell us what you think. Subscribe, like us, join us, share us, tell your friends about us. And we hope to see you next time with more commerce news.